But we're here at the Construction Ready Expo 2025 and Skills USA Challenge. And I'm here with Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn, what's your last name?
Crosby.
Kaitlyn Crosby. And you're a competitor?
Yes, I'll be competing tomorrow in the welding competition, the solo competition.
Okay. So I think it's important to acknowledge that we're actually sitting on top of Strack's trailer.
With the road sign.
Yeah, with the road sign. We've kind of stolen their podcast setup here this morning. So this episode of The Line is brought to you by Strack. So thank you guys very much for letting us be on top of your trailer here in the midst of everything that's going on. So we greatly appreciate it. So Kaitlyn, tell me a little bit about how you got here. Like, what's your story?
Well, maybe I can reverse in time instead of starting from the beginning. I'm competing in the welding portion now, which is the solo competition. Last year at Skills, I competed in the fabrication competition, which they're competing right now. It's like a group of 3 people, and you build something. They give you a blueprint, you build something. The year before that, I had just started school and program, and it was a new green. I knew absolutely nothing. And I actually did come to the convention because I was going to do some type of a sculpture, but didn't end up doing that. And then before that, how I got to the program was my mom actually went to the trade school that I go to as a horticulture student and a culinary student, and she took me to campus one day to get some plants. And then I had just moved back home due to a little quarter-life crisis, a little 24-year-old crisis. And we went to the plant sale. She was going to get some plants because she likes to garden. And then someone gave me a tour of the welding shop, and I applied the same day.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say I was dazzled, completely dazzled. And same day applied, started about 2 months later, and have been there about probably like 2.5 years. I graduate this semester.
Wow.
But before that, it was just kind of, young life and like younger person life, high school, moving out, living on your own, trying to figure it out. Not much control over your life or realizing that you have control over your life, and then, you end up somewhere else.
Well, you said that when we were kind of talking before we were on air here, you were talking about you believe that you're responsible for your own life.
Yes.
And I think that's something when we're younger, it takes a little bit of, we tend to have this feeling that things are happening to me, and it's like, oh, I can take a hold of them.
Completely.
And I can take control of this. I can control my life, my situation, my area around me. And so, and it's interesting that you talk about, being in your mid-20s. I have a similar story of moving home in my mid-20s and kind of retooling and being like, okay, what am I doing?
What am I doing? What do I want? Who am I? Where do I want to go?
So what is it about welding specifically? Like you talk about you were dazzled, and I love that. I love the way that you say that, because we film and we capture for different companies, and we do, marketing and whatnot for them. Welding is one of the easiest to make look sexy. It really is.
I would agree. The
really
machines are shiny. The projects are gorgeous if they have good welds.
Yeah.
There's like lots of structure, and I'm very dazzled by structure.
Yeah.
And structures, like I like things that look put together.
So you already find yourself looking at structures when you drive down the road?
Everywhere I go. To me, everything is a structure. Me and my best friend actually share a folder on our different laptops of just structures.
Yeah.
And a structure can be anything. Like the structure of this is dazzling to me. I like it.
You like it? Well, the structure
in our
of this
shop, it's a little wobbly.
Yeah. What would I call it? Precarious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah.
Good word. But the structure, our shop is, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You walk in, and it's gorgeous. And it's very put together. The longer you're there, you see that it's not as put together as it looks like when you first started, which could apply to people, I would say. That can apply to most things. But yeah, I knew that I was supposed to be there. I didn't know in the moment that I was supposed to be there, but something did, because I applied and got in and started and have become very involved.
I only just met you about 40 minutes ago.
Yes.
But I would say this is an interesting thing that I can see about you. One, recognizing that you're the one that takes charge and you take responsibility.
Took some time to get there, though, I have to say.
Well, and that's partly what I hope that this conversation is doing is, while it took some time for you and me to get there, it doesn't have to take any longer for you to get there. If you're at some place in your life and you're listening to us right now, you can take responsibility today and change the course of your life and where you're going and what you're doing.
Yes,
And
completely.
I believe that one of the things that I was getting at that's interesting about you is, I don't know how to describe it other than just calling you a badass. And the reason that I say that is, I'm walking by and I'm this strange bearded guy that like starts talking to Dusty, and I'm like, hey, would you step up to the line and join me on a podcast talking about the skilled trades? And he looks at you.
I know.
He looks at you
They're
and he's
always
like,
pushing me.
well,
always.
This is the thing that's crazy.
Oh,
I don't think that you
gosh.
do anything that you don't want to do.
Yes, but also they have become, I guess you could call them mentors, chronically.
I think they probably would
Have
appreciate
pushed me
that.
out of my comfort zone in ways I would have never imagined. Like shaking
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone. And I feel like I'm like walking on the cliff all the time
Well,
because of the things they're like, you're going to do this. And for some reason, usually I don't do things that I don't want to do, but I feel like I just have to.
yeah.
Which is something I don't know what to label that as yet.
You know, I think it's something that we need to really be sensitive to in the core of who we are as people. Sometimes there are things that it's like it's a hook in
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Like I don't want to do things, but like I have to do it.
I have to, because I could have like
You
know,
could have said no.
I could have
You
said
did say
yes
no,
and
like
then
4 or
stayed
5
in.
times.
Yeah, I did say no.
Yeah,
I did say
yeah.
no, and then stayed in the bathroom for like 45 minutes, because of nerves. I could, but I don't know. But they
Yeah.
are my mentors. They're
Yeah.
some of the first people in my life outside of familial ties that are their own set of things when it comes to everything. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, because I think for me, the skilled trades, and it doesn't matter whether you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you're a welder, whatever it might be, the skilled trades is all about mentorship.
Yes.
And for me, I had that too. And we even need that outside of familial ties.
Yes.
And
Desperately.
it's something that is like, I mean, these are the people that you work with, and there's no other way to learn some of these trades other than to have someone come alongside you and take the time to teach you.
Right.
And the good ones, the people who do that, you can't do that without caring.
No.
Like, there has to be something more there.
Right. And I also feel like they have to care, but the people who are learning also have to care. Like
Yeah.
in the shop or everywhere you go, like that you either want to learn or you don't want to learn.
Yeah.
And some people, they just have it. They don't have to learn. They wake
Yeah.
up, they got the skill.
Yeah, I know.
They wake
I'm not
up,
one of
they
those
can.
people.
Me either. They wake
Yeah.
up and they can do it. But if you don't want to learn, a lot of times they probably don't want to teach you.
Yeah.
Like if you don't care to just be annoying, like a pest, a mosquito, then
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you can only probably get so far.
Yeah.
Unless you just got it, like some people. They
Yeah.
just got it.
I used to really resent that I didn't just have it. I remember being an apprentice and being in class, and I was studying to be an electrician, and we'd be taking the tests, and I had to study. I had to have study groups.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
to, really work hard at it. And then there were people that didn't.
Yes.
They just got it. And
Yes.
I actually think that you and I, and those of us who are like us, we got the better end of the deal.
Potentially. I
And
could agree with
the
you.
reason
Maybe in the future.
is because we had to work for it, and we don't take it for granted.
Right.
You know.
That's similar lines to what they tell me.
Yeah.
That
And-
is.
Well, I mean, and the reality is, listen, life is hard,
Yes.
and you need to learn how to deal with that.
Yes.
You need to learn how to be a problem solver. So,
Yes.
so I have a question for you. I want to ask you.
Okay.
I asked 2 questions during this podcast, and this one is a little, wow, it's really interesting. That every time that they move on
I know
the trailer,
the whole thing
moves. It's like,
Yeah.
are we going to fall?
I know. With the mic.
But my question for you is, what is something that you can't live without? A piece of gear or a tool that you just can't live without that you need? I can help you. For me, it's a watch.
I actually recently have been on the hunt for a watch, but that's not my thing. But
Yeah.
I love being. I ask people like, "You want to know what time it is?" Just because I like the watch, but that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were you saying?
Well, for me, it's a watch because time is important because it's ticking
Yes.
away, and it's the one thing I can't get more of.
I
And
agree.
so, one of the biggest things that I learned in getting a job when I was young is on time is late, being early is being on time.
Yes.
And that was when I got the opportunity. I'd show up and I'd be ready with my tools in my hand, and the foreman was like, "Oh, I'm going to give you more responsibility. Oh, I got to learn more. And so I realized the importance of time. And so for me, that's my one thing. So that would be my example for you. What's your one thing? And it can be anything.
I know what mine is. Definitely a writing utensil, like a pen or a pen. I have to have on my person. I probably have one somewhere, but I know I have like 6 in my bag. I have to have a writing utensil. I also have to have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Or a sticky notepad, because it does not matter where I am or what I'm doing. There will be things I need to write down, things I need to remember. There's so many things that go through my brain all day. I feel like it's like a rat in there just running around. But if I write it down on something, I will remember.
Yeah.
And I mean, at my house, everything is covered in sticky notes.
Yeah.
And I just need a pencil. I feel lost without a pencil. I feel like having a pencil or a pen helps me keep track of time, like through the segments of the day.
Oh, I agree. I remember when I made a shift from the field to the office, and I really struggled with feeling productive.
Yeah.
And the way that I began to feel, because, in the field, it's like you fabricate something, or for me, I was pulling wire or running conduit, and it's like, get to the end of the day and be like, I did that.
Yeah.
That's
why I like the trades.
Well, and the thing with a writing utensil, and when you say pencil, I started, when I came into the office, making lists of the stupid things that I have to do in the office. Like, I gotta file this. Well, yes, because when you cross it off, you feel good.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yes.
So
I love lists.
Well, that's a good one thing.
Yes.
That's a good one thing.
Yeah. And it's also like a focus thing for me. Focus saved my life, learning the value of focus. But
tell me more about that.
Well, I think that my life kind of not fizzled out, but like phased out of focus. I was maybe focused, like everyone says, focused on the wrong things or not focusing on the right things. I'm not sure, but when I came to the shop and had something to isolate my focus on, I was honestly shocked at how much it cleared my head. I remember, like, my first semester, there would be times that I would cry because of like how simple my mind felt.
Yeah.
Just welding and focusing on something and doing a task, being in the task, finishing the task, and then realizing what was wrong or right, and then focusing on making it change. And I don't know, I think that focus is like key to survival.
I would assume
it keeps you calm.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, I still have when I had to do there's moments where you can't be calm and you have to focus again to get to the point to where you can keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think that, specifically with the trade that you're doing, I would think welding requires a lot of focus.
Yes. And it turns your brain off too, because you have to focus.
So what does that mean when you say it turns your brain off? Like, try to help us enter into your mind and understand what that means. Like, when you say it turns your brain off, because for me, clearly you're working.
Yes. Yeah. For me, when I'm not welding, there is no moment where I'm not having thoughts, which I guess it could be the common experience, the common human experience, but I'm always thinking of something, whether that be negative or not. It just never stops. When you weld, you have to strike up and you have to pay attention to what's happening.
Come on.
You have to pay attention to the puddle. Everything else is dark. And if you stop paying attention, it's going to look like shit. No doubt. Unless you're a robot. And at that point, you're just one of those. Like, you're just a robot who does not have to care about certain things. But for me, I have to focus. I have to focus on the angle that my body is positioned. I have to focus on the puddle. I have to focus on my mind. Because there'll be moments when I'm like, I notice that I have strayed away from what's happening.
Yeah.
And then, but it's instant. I'm like, oh, no, back to the puddle. And then if you don't focus, you can tell when it's done that you haven't focused. They can tell, my instructors, and everyone else can tell, because it's obvious. Like, you just have to isolate to it. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because my mind just, there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And I've never, and maybe that's why I shed a few tears, positive tears.
Yeah.
I've never experienced like nothing being in my mind other than when I swim. But
wow, it's
gorgeous. It's dazzling, honestly.
I think that it must be one of those things that it's like, that focus is a lot like, I've done some welding. We're never going to show any photos of it, ever.
You should put some right in the
But I can remember, putting the hood down, and it's like, it's all darkness until that moment that you strike up. And it's like, and then, like you said, you need to focus on that and follow that. I really, because, anxiety and worry, I don't know about you, but for me, it's constant battle.
Oh my God, up.
Yeah.
If this is a high, it's up there.
Well, and
So
I
I
feel
understand.
I feel like it just steals life.
Yes, it does.
I mean, because I have had days where I've spent hours worrying and having anxiety, and then nothing that I worried about actually happened.
Ever. Or it happens completely different than what you imagine. Or it's just completely fine, and then you're like, wow.
Yeah. Well, or I think it's the end of the world and it happens, and guess what? It's not.
Yeah.
The sun still comes
Yeah.
up tomorrow. And so,
That's a big thing, is that the sun's still going to come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if it goes to shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the things that's really important wherever you are in life. If you're listening to this, and I know that we're not supposed to say a lady's age, but can I say your age?
Yeah.
So you're 26 years old.
Yes.
And so it's like, you don't have to be starting out. I think there's this fear that, well, if I didn't start when I'm 18, then I'm missing it. I was an apprentice, and there's a 40-year-old man sitting next to me learning the trade.
Yeah.
You're 26 and you're going into the trade, and it's like, you don't need to be worried and full of anxiety about, you just got to take responsibility, move forward, focus on what's in front of you.
Right.
I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying that we need to not, fear the future and not focus on the past, but we need to live in the now.
It's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. And that's what it is. And it's like, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to do things wrong, but that's not your future.
Yeah.
And you can't be afraid of what might happen, because then you're going to miss what's right in front of you right now. So,
right.
Yeah.
And also, if I would have done this when I was 18 or 20 or something, I'm not really I feel like I probably wouldn't have taken it the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe I have more focus now that I had to have more focus, if that makes sense. I'm not sure.
It does.
But,
it does.
Yeah.
So what is, so this is, you're here with Skills USA?
Yes.
So talk for me a little bit about Skills USA and what that is, and why it matters that people are here competing. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't even realize that this is going on. And, Construction Ready and Skills USA have put on this event. Why is this so important to you? And in that way, how do you think it's important to other people that are here from your perspective?
Well, one, it's awesome. This convention, or whatever you call it, is awesome to me. Like when the brick nations come out and they're building all that stuff, it's just incredible, I think.
So you've been here before then?
I've been here 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. They call me like a 5th-year student at my school. Even though I haven't been there 5 years, I've been to this 3 times. I have so many pins from these conventions that you walk around and you get like 30 pins.
Yeah.
I'll have pins for the next like 10 years. Probably not, but well, I guess why it's important, most of the people that have been chosen to come to this, they either really wanted to be here, or they had the sheer talent to be here, which is cool because, I don't know, I think it's a good environment. It's like for me, it's like when you go have to take a weld test. You're in a pressure tank, so I think it's a good learning experience to be able to, or maybe Skills USA is good because it's like a simulator. It's like a simulator for real life for the competitors, and I like that. And for me, the reason I'm here, I guess I could accredit it to focus, is that I got in the welding program and then I really enjoyed it, which made me want to focus more, which then led me to being asked to be on the team. I also started working at the school as like some version of like a pipe beveler, machinist, something like that. But I don't know, I think this is important because most of the people that are here want to be here, or they're really good. So when you walk around, you get to talk to all of these experienced people, all of these experienced, what do you call these? Not contractors, companies.
Yeah.
And people have lots of things to say that are good to know. And yeah, for me, I like it because it's a good simulation. I'm going to have to go take a weld test somewhere.
Yeah.
And this has been, I've never focused on something more than this competition I'll be competing in tomorrow, which has been a lot for me.
I can believe that. And I mean, that's the other thing with what you're doing is without having these opportunities, specifically in your trade, but I would say most trades, the only way to learn it is to do it.
Yes.
And you're getting an opportunity to do it, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing that you touched on that is really interesting here at Construction Ready and Skills USA is that all of the like-minded people.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like, it's pretty intense, and it's like there are all these different companies and different things that are here and working, and they're all like of the same mind.
Yes.
And it makes it extremely effective in how you don't waste time when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
Like, you're already on the same wavelength when
Yeah.
you're talking.
Yeah.
They want to be here, and you want to be
Yeah.
here, and so then you can actually get shit done.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the things that you probably want to talk about usually.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Well, I mean, in all reality, we've only known each other here now for about 45 minutes.
It's true.
And we're talking about things that we're on the same page with.
Yeah.
That we
it's
care
refreshing.
about.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how you make good friends
Yeah.
in life. Being on the same page.
Oh, I agree.
And not wavering, continuing to be on the same page.
Well, and I think that's the other thing that's interesting is when you talk about the companies that are here and the support and the type of people is they're on the same page because they've done it. They've been where we are. Some of these people might have a very similar story to yours.
Right.
And so they want the success of the next generation. I mean, quite honestly, depending on what company you end up working for, you might be here in the future just like they are.
Potentially.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to me about we've talked about your origins. We've talked about, why you're here, what you're doing here. Let's talk about your future a little bit. What is your dream? Where do you want to go? And dream big with me here.
Mm-hmm. Outside of, my personal life, I just would like to continue to be stimulated. Where I work, wherever I go, I have to keep learning.
Yeah.
I have to. If I'm not going to be learning on my job, I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's what this environment has taught me, is that I love to learn like this. Like new things, or if I'm not learning, at least getting better. I just want to be pushed.
Yeah.
Maybe not pushed to do a talk. But
Well, you're doing great.
I mean, future me will probably be like, oh, I'm glad I did that. But that's besides the point. But I think in the future, I just want to work somewhere or for someone where I feel like my brain is being stimulated. And it doesn't really matter how that looks. I just nobody wants to be bored.
Yeah.
And, bored in the usual sense. I can just pull out the sticky notepad and write and be fine or read my book. But when it comes to work, I would just like to be stimulated. And I would like to weld. Not every day, but
Yeah.
I don't, lots of places you kind of like sit around for a long time and wait, sit around. I would like to work if I'm going to be at work.
You want to be active, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I need that if I'm going to have to be at work.
So, I mean, I think that's something that's important. I think we heard that horn here.
Yeah.
We're actually going to start getting an
I thought I
influx
was
of
hearing
people.
the train.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But talking about where you want to work and how you want to be stimulated in that way and the work that you want to do, I think that's something, well, I guess I'm not going to say what I think. What do you think? Do you think the trades is something that offers?
Yes.
That continual stimulation in that way?
If I can use my hands, I'm fine.
Yeah.
If I can use my hands and do something active, I think the trades, personally, that's the best place to go.
Yeah.
If you want to use your hands. Not
Yeah.
if you want to sit around. If you want to use your hands, this is like all I could have ever asked for. And I wouldn't have known that without this school. I wouldn't have known
Yeah.
that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I think that the trades also, it provides that oneness with people. Like, we're all here, and you said we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you enter into the trades, if you don't want to be there, that's something that then you're going to end up with a certain group of people that doesn't want to be there.
Yes.
And that actually makes work miserable. I mean, work is where we
Oh my
spend the
God.
majority of our life. Like, I have a family and I have a wife and children, but I spend most of my life
Yes.
at work.
Yes.
And so it's like the relationships, why not work with people that you're on the same page with?
Right.
And why not enjoy it? And
Right.
that's something that,
You have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the name of your school, I think I just burped on air there. We're going to.
It's okay.
Yeah. We don't edit anything, by the way. I didn't tell
That's
you
fine.
that.
I was
so-
cracking my knuckles. So.
You were? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, yeah, I
think
can.
you
I
have
did that.
one.
There we go. So the school that you are part of, can you name that for us so that we know?
North Georgia Technical College, and then the program is welding technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing in welding technology that you've learned? If you had to pick one.
I know I keep saying focus. I'm like,
That's okay.
or like how to give a shit, honestly. Like,
The
You know
number
what
one
I'm
thing
saying?
she learned at your school is how to give a shit.
How to give a shit, and to know if you, well, maybe you don't, maybe people don't learn if they don't give a shit. Maybe that's not something you're aware of, but
Well, that would be sad if
Yeah.
you're not aware of it and then
Yeah.
you don't learn because of it.
yeah.
Wow. That's so if you don't give
yeah.
a shit,
Like,
and
are
you're
you
not
aware of it? Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a scary statement.
Yeah,
I really
right?
want to give a shit.
Right. Me too. I want to give
Yeah.
a shit. And this program, I give a shit about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
Like, there are times where I can't even think about it. This is the first place that I've ever, through and through, day one to end, enjoyed my time. And
Yeah.
that is like, this is one of the biggest blessings of my life. I have really enjoyed myself and learned, I feel like more than I've learned in my entire life in the span of 2
Wow.
years. And this is the first place that I can say that I will miss it
Wow.
heavily.
That is pretty impressive. I think that your mentors would really appreciate that. And I'm sure they're going to listen to this. And yeah, probably your entire school's going to listen to it. So there you go.
Well,
Yeah.
don't email it to anybody. Don't email
You
it.
do realize that's my job.
Well,
So-
I'll give you my email. You can send it to me.
Yeah, okay.
I'll send it to them.
So we talked early on, and I gave you a heads up. I so appreciate you sitting down and having this conversation. One, because she didn't want to,
Not at all.
but she is here because she gives a shit. And the
Working on
reality
it.
is she gives a shit. I explained to her that she might affect people by talking about this stuff. She might encourage someone else that, hey, you can change your life.
Yeah.
Hey, this isn't a bad thing. And so that's impressive. I mean, if I owned a welding company, I would want to hire you. I mean, that's the
Nice.
truth of it.
That's
And-
good. That's good.
And I do hire people, but
That's the only compliment that matters to me,
well,
honestly.
and it should be
Work
the only
ethic.
compliment that matters to
Yes.
anyone. And the reason that you want to hire people like yourself is because they care. You know, it's because you care, and it's because you're willing to put the time in.
Yeah.
If you do that in life, truly, you can become unstoppable.
Yes.
Truly.
I
So-
burped on camera.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. We did it
A
together.
belch or interior burp. I didn't
yeah,
let it loose,
There we
but-
go. I think that's the first time that we've actually burped on camera that it can be recorded.
Yeah, mine was interior, though.
Yeah.
If I would have opened up.
We don't need to acknowledge that mine was out loud. My gosh. All right. So, the question that I want to ask you, what's a mistake that you have made in life that you've learned from that you're willing to share with all 40 people that are listening right now?
I would say letting a mistake debilitate you and just letting it crush you. Like, we all fuck up. We
Yeah.
really do. And if you don't, you're lying.
Come
You're
on.
lying. Like, we all really, there's going to be a time in your life when you make a mistake that you're like, oh, God, why
Yeah.
did I do that?
Yeah.
And you just cannot let it debilitate you.
Yeah.
Even on the smaller scale of like welding, they're still trying to drill it into my brain of like, yeah, it may look like shit, but you cannot sit there and fixate.
Yeah.
And I think probably it's just like fixating on messing up. Like, fixating on messing up, stop doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and if you're not, stop doing it, because I still do it. Everyone still does it. Try not to.
Yeah.
Like, try to at least, like, even if you've made the worst mistake of your life, try to fixate on something else.
Yeah.
And, you know, just keep taking some steps forward instead of pausing in time with time. Like, it's not meant to, you're not meant to stay in the same place
Yeah.
ever, especially within yourself. So
Well,
just, you know,
I agree.
kind of cycling out
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. That's
Save
really
yourself.
good.
That's my advice. Save yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're meant to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
Staying stagnant is death.
Yeah.
So,
Completely.
yeah,
Within everything.
it truly is.
Yeah.
If you, you know, you're here, you're working. If there are people listening here that are looking for good welders, what is it that you would say to a potential employer that might be listening that you want to work for? What are you looking for in an employer? Because this is your turn to say to the companies out there that are looking for skilled welders, because clearly there are people listening to this
Yeah.
that want to give you a job.
Yes.
I guarantee you that if there are companies out there that are looking for welders, they want to connect with you. So what are you looking for in that company?
Well, when it comes to, mainly I'm looking for welding, but if someone is willing to teach, I'm very willing to learn.
Come on.
I don't want to go somewhere where they don't want to teach me.
Come on.
And I don't want to have to beg, obviously I'm going to ask. I'm going to be like, teach me. But, I want someone who wants to teach, someone who wants to, if they don't want to have to do it anymore, teach me. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
Within these companies and the ones that I work for, because I want to be able to have confidence in the force and know what I'm doing. And I would say that I am pretty green outside of, I do know how to weld and I know all the processes, but all this other stuff, all these machines and tools, I don't know about them, but I want to.
Yeah.
And I want to be with people who want to show me.
I think the most effective thing that I've heard you say through this entire conversation is that you want to be here.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's, when you go somewhere, you want to be there, and it's like, that's what employers are really looking for in a job, is they want people who are present.
Yes.
They don't want just your proximity.
Right.
They want you to be present in the moment and want to be there. And so with that, I believe that you have tremendous opportunity in front of you.
I hope
and
so.
we talked about this too at the beginning of the podcast, maybe before we were on air, but the shortages of the workforce.
Yeah.
And you could go across the trades and it's like there are tremendous shortages. If you want a good paying job and you are willing to care, or as you say, give a shit, if you're willing to do that, the sky, I know this sounds so cliche, but the sky truly is the limit.
Yes. Because if you don't find it somewhere, you got to keep looking.
Yeah.
You got to keep looking, because sometimes it might not be on the first one or the second one, but
yeah.
And that's what I've been told. They've told me that, you got to keep looking, keep trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the easiest thing in the world, I have to say, but it is worth it.
I don't think, and I've said this before, I don't think anything worth having is easy.
Yeah, that's true.
I really don't.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
Kaitlyn, I really appreciate you stepping up to the line with me here today, doing something that was uncomfortable for you.
The nervous sweats.
Yeah.
God.
We had the nervous burps.
Yeah.
But you stepped up to the line. You were honest, you were real, and you were authentic. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
It was fun. I'll
Good.
admit it. I'll admit it. It was fun.
We got that on camera. She said it was fun.